Captain Lisa Martinez stood on the bridge of the giant warship called Sovereign's Edge. The ship was so big it could fit a small city inside it. She looked at the bright screens that showed everything happening in space around them. These screens could spot things very far away, even things as small as a coin from many light years distance. The bridge was full of strange, blue-skinned aliens called Zephyrians. They had scales instead of skin and eyes that glowed softly in the dark. Lisa was one of only a few humans working on this ship. Most humans in the galaxy work simple jobs for their alien masters. Lieutenant Commander Jake Harrison turned from his station. His blue face looked worried. "Captain, something strange is happening in Space Area 7 Alpha. We found an object moving very fast. It's going almost as fast as light itself. But our computers cannot follow it properly." Lisa walked over to look at his screen. In her 15 years working for the alien empire, she had never seen anything like this. The Zephyrian Empire ruled 47 different star systems. Their technology was supposed to be the best in the galaxy. Nothing could hide from their sensors. "Run a complete check on all our sensor equipment," Lisa told the crew. "Maybe something is broken. Also, get Admiral Chen on the communication system right away." The bridge became very busy. Crew members worked at their stations, trying to understand what they were seeing. The mysterious object had no identification marks. It was not sending any signals that they could understand. Worse than that, it seemed to come from nowhere. The most frightening thing was that it was flying straight toward the Zephyrian home planet. Dr. Elena Rodriguez was the ship's expert on ancient alien cultures. She studied the information on her screen with growing excitement. "Captain, this could be our first meeting with a completely new alien race. This object does not match anything we know about in our computer files." Hours passed slowly. More and more Imperial ships started reporting the same thing. They all saw the mysterious object. Every report was exactly the same. The object was too fast to follow properly. No one knew where it came from. The technology it used was completely unknown. The Zephyrian leaders were getting very upset and worried. They had never faced anything they could not understand or control. Their empire was built on having better technology than everyone else. Now something was flying through their space that made their best equipment look like old broken toys. Admiral Kevin Chun's angry voice came through the communication system. "Captain Martinez, I want every detail about this object. How big is it? What is it made of? Where did it come from? Get me answers now." Lisa looked at the data again. "Admiral, the object appears to be about the size of a small building. We cannot tell what materials it is made from because our scanners cannot get a clear reading. As for where it came from, sir, it just appeared on our sensors. There is no trail to follow back." "That is impossible," Chun replied. "Nothing can just appear in space without leaving some kind of trace. Keep scanning. There must be something we are missing." Dr. Rodriguez called Lisa over to her station. "Captain, look at this. The object's energy readings are unlike anything in our databases. The power source appears to be incredibly advanced, much more advanced than anything the Empire has ever built." Lisa studied the strange patterns on the screen. The energy readings kept changing in ways that did not make sense. Sometimes the object seemed to be there, sometimes it seemed to fade away like a ghost. Their most powerful sensors could barely keep track of it. "How fast did you say it was moving?" Lisa asked Jake. "0.97 light speed, Captain." "But that's not the strangest part. The object keeps changing speed without slowing down first. It goes from very fast to even faster instantly. Our physics books say that should be impossible." Lieutenant Amy Foster, who handled all communications, looked up from her station. "Captain, I have been trying to send messages to the object on every frequency we know. I used all the standard greeting protocols for first contact. There has been no response at all." Lisa nodded. "Keep trying, Amy. Use every language in our computer system. Try mathematical sequences. Try music. Try anything that might get a response." The object continued flying toward the heart of the Zephyrian Empire. It paid no attention to the huge warships that were now following it. Imperial Fleet Command was sending more and more ships to intercept the mysterious visitor. Soon there would be hundreds of warships in pursuit. Commander Ryan Thompson, the ship's chief engineer, was working hard at his station. Numbers and equations filled his screen as he tried to understand how the object could move so fast. Captain, I have been running calculations for 3 hours. The energy needed to move something that fast should create massive distortions in space, but our instruments show nothing. It's like the object is not even affecting the space around. What does that mean? Lisa asked. I honestly don't know, Captain. Either our understanding of physics is completely wrong, or this object uses technology so advanced that it might as well be magic. Dr. Rodriguez had been very quiet for the last hour. She was reading through old files in the ship's computer system. Finally, she looked up with a strange expression on her face. Captain, I have been looking through historical records. Most of them are about conquered planets and species. But I found something interesting in the restricted files. What kind of restricted files? Lisa asked. Files about Earth, Captain. About human space exploration before the conquest 200 years ago. There are some theories and designs here that I have never seen before. Experimental technology that was never built because the Empire took over before humans could finish developing it. Lisa felt a strange feeling in her stomach. Her grandmother had told her stories about the old days before the aliens came. Stories about human engineers who could build amazing things from almost nothing. Stories about humans who never gave up, no matter how impossible things seemed. What kind of theories? Lisa asked quietly. Space travel technology that would not need traditional engines? Methods of moving through space that would not create the usual energy signatures. Ways to hide ships from sensors while traveling at incredible speeds. The bridge became very quiet. Everyone knew that human technology was supposed to be primitive and simple. Humans were only allowed to build basic ships for short trips between nearby planets. The idea that humans might have secrets that even the Empire did not know about was frightening to the alien crew members. That's ridiculous, Jake said. Human technology is hundreds of years behind ours. They can barely maintain simple communication systems. But Lisa remembered more stories from her grandmother. Stories about humans who had learned to hide their true abilities. Stories about secret projects and hidden knowledge passed down through families. Stories about humans who smiled and nodded during the day but worked on impossible dreams at night. Dr. Rodriguez, can you compare the object's movement patterns with those old human theories? Elena worked at her computer for several minutes. When she looked up, her face was pale. Captain, there are similarities. Not exact matches, but the basic principles are related. If someone had taken these old human theories and developed them for 200 years in secret, she did not finish the sentence. She did not need to. Everyone on the bridge understood what she was suggesting. The impossible object flying toward the heart of the Empire might not be from some unknown alien race. It might be human. The thought was terrifying and exciting at the same time. If humans had been secretly developing advanced technology for 2 centuries, then everything the Empire believed about their conquered subjects was wrong. Everything was about to change. Admiral Kevin Chun was very angry. He stood on the bridge of his flagship called Eternal Dominion. This ship was even bigger than the Sovereign's Edge. It had enough weapons to destroy entire planets. But right now, all those weapons were useless against something they could not even catch. Bring every ship we have, Chun ordered his communications officer. I want 200 ships here within 6 hours. Include 5 dreadnoughts and 30 cruisers. Nothing will make fools of the Imperial fleet. The space around the mysterious object soon filled with Imperial warships. Each ship was huge and covered with weapons. The smallest ship was still bigger than most space stations. Together, they formed the largest battle fleet in Zephyrian history. Captain Lisa Martinez now worked directly with Admiral Chun as his tactical advisor. She traveled to his flagship to help plan their next move. The bridge of the Eternal Dominion was enormous. Hundreds of crew members worked at stations that controlled the most advanced military technology in the galaxy. Captain Martinez, Admiral. Chun said, "You know more about unusual situations than most officers. What do you think we should do?" Lisa looked at the tactical display showing the mysterious object. It was still moving toward the Zephyrian home system at incredible speed. The entire Imperial fleet was following behind it like children chasing a bird they could never catch. "Admiral, we need to try something that will force it to slow down," Lisa said. "Our weapons cannot hit something moving that fast." "We need to change the rules of the game," Chun nodded. "I was thinking the same thing. Prepare the interdiction field generators. We will create a gravity well that collapses space-time itself. Nothing can maintain faster than light speed through that kind of distortion." The interdiction field was the Empire's most powerful defensive technology. It created a bubble of twisted space that would pull any ship back into normal space. No known technology could resist it. Even the Empire's own ships had to slow down when passing through an interdiction field. "All ships, prepare interdiction field on my command," Chun announced to the fleet. "We will show this intruder what happens when someone challenges Imperial authority." The massive fleet moved into position. Each ship powered up its interdiction field generators. The combined power of 200 ships would create a gravity well strong enough to trap a moon. Surely nothing could pass through that. "Field generators at full power," reported the tactical officer. "Ready to activate on?" "Your command, Admiral." "Activate the field," Chun ordered. Space itself seemed to bend and twist around the mysterious object. The interdiction field created a region where normal physics stopped working. Light curved in strange directions. Time moved differently in different places. It was like watching reality itself break apart. The Imperial fleet watched their screens carefully. According to every law of physics they knew, the object had to drop out of faster-than-light travel. It had to slow down. It had to become vulnerable to their weapons. The object did not slow down at all. It passed through the interdiction field like the field was not even there. The readings showed that the object was not affected by the twisted space around it. It continued flying toward the Zephyrian home system at exactly the same speed as before. The bridge of the Eternal Dominion became very quiet. Every crew member stared at their screens in shock. The impossible had just happened. Their most powerful technology had been completely ignored. "Run a diagnostic on the interdiction field generators," Chun ordered. His voice was tight with anger and fear. Maybe something malfunctioned. Commander Ryan Thompson, who had been brought over from the Sovereign's Edge, checked his instruments. "Admiral, all systems are working perfectly?" The field was generated exactly as planned. The object simply was not affected by it. Lisa studied the readings with growing worry. "Admiral, this suggests that the object operates on physics principles we do not understand. Our technology is based on controlling space and time. If something can ignore those controls—" She did not finish the sentence. Everyone understood what she meant. If their enemy could ignore the fundamental forces that their technology depended on, then all their weapons and defenses were useless. "Try a different approach," Chun said. "All ships, target the object with plasma cannons. If we cannot stop it, maybe we can damage it." The Imperial fleet opened fire. Hundreds of plasma cannons shot beams of pure energy at the mysterious object. Each beam was hot enough to melt through the strongest armor. The combined firepower was enough to destroy an entire city. Every shot missed. The object seemed to phase in and out of normal space. Sometimes it was there, sometimes it was not. The plasma beams passed through empty space where the object had been just moments before. "It's like it knows where we are going to shoot before we shoot," said Lieutenant Amy Foster, who was monitoring the communication systems. "Every time we fire, it's already somewhere else." Dr. Elena Rodriguez was studying the object's movement patterns on her portable computer. "Captain Martinez, look at this. The object is not moving randomly. There is a pattern to how it dodges our weapons. It's like it understands our technology better than we do." Lisa looked at the data. The object's movements were too perfect to be lucky. It avoided every shot with surgical precision. It knew exactly when and where the Imperial fleet would fire. Admiral, Lisa said carefully, I think this object is not just avoiding our weapons, I think it's studying us. Every time we try something new, it learns how to counter it immediately. Chion's blue face turned darker with anger. Are you suggesting that this thing is smarter than the entire Imperial fleet? I'm suggesting that whoever built this object has been preparing for this encounter for a very long time, Lisa replied. They know our capabilities better than we know theirs. The pursuit continued for hours. The Imperial fleet tried everything they could think of. They used tractor beams to try to slow the object down. They fired different types of weapons. They even tried ramming it with unmanned ships. Nothing worked. The object continued flying toward the Zephyrian home system. It seemed to be playing with the Imperial fleet. Sometimes it would slow down just enough to let them think they were catching up. Then it would speed up again and leave them behind. It's toying with us, muttered Commander Thompson. Like a cat playing with mice. It could probably destroy us all if it wanted to, but it's choosing not to. This thought made everyone on the bridge very uncomfortable. The Imperial fleet was used to being the strongest force in any situation. Now they were being treated like children by something they could not understand or fight. Admiral, Lisa said, maybe we should try communication again. If this object is intelligent, maybe it wants to talk to us. We are the Zephyrian Empire. Chion replied angrily. We do not negotiate with intruders. We destroy them. But even as he spoke, Chun knew his words were empty. They could not destroy something they could not catch or hit. For the first time in Imperial history, they were completely outmatched. The object began to slow down as it approached the outer planets of the Zephyrian system. The Imperial fleet followed at a safe distance. They had learned that getting too close was pointless. Admiral, the tactical officer reported, the object is reducing speed. It's now moving at sublight velocity. Chun leaned forward in his command. Chair, finally, prepare all weapons. The moment it drops to normal space speeds, we attack with everything we have. But Lisa had a different feeling. The object was not slowing down because it was tired or damaged. It was slowing down because it had reached its destination. Whatever it wanted to do, it was ready to do it now. Admiral, Lisa said quietly, I don't think this is over. I think this is just the beginning. The mysterious object finally stopped moving at high speed when it reached the outer edge of the Zephyrian home system. The Imperial fleet, now grown to over 300 warships, surrounded it at what they hoped was a safe distance. Nobody wanted to get too close after seeing what had happened to the ships that tried to ram it earlier. Captain Lisa Martinez stood on the bridge of the Sovereign's Edge, watching the main display screen. What she saw made her forget to breathe for a moment. The craft was much smaller than she had expected. It was only about the size of a regular Imperial fighter ship, but the way it moved through space was unlike anything she had ever seen. The hull of the mysterious craft seemed to change shape as she watched. Sometimes it looked smooth and rounded like a river stone. Other times it had sharp angles like a crystal. The surface seemed to flow like liquid metal, but it also looked solid and strong. It was beautiful and frightening at the same time. Look at how it moves, whispered Dr. Elena Rodriguez from her station. It's like it's alive. Like it's a living creature swimming through space instead of a machine, Lisa nodded. The craft moved with a grace that no Imperial ship could match. It turned and spun without using any visible engines. It seemed to dance through space, responding to invisible forces that only it could feel. Computer, compare this craft's movement patterns with all known species in our database, Lisa commanded. The ship's computer worked for several minutes, processing the data. When it finally responded, its answer made everyone on the bridge very uncomfortable. No exact match found in Imperial databases. However, partial similarities detected with theoretical human deep space exploration designs from restricted historical files. The bridge became completely silent. Even the usual humming of the ship's systems seemed quieter. Every crew member stared at the main screen, trying to understand what they had just heard. That cannot be right, said Lieutenant Commander Jake. Harrison, human technology is primitive. They can barely build ships that can travel between nearby planets. The idea that humans could build something like this is impossible. But Lisa remembered the stories her grandmother had told her when she was a child. Stories about the time before the Zephyrian Empire conquered Earth. Stories about human engineers who could build amazing things from scraps and spare parts. Stories about humans who never gave up, no matter how impossible a problem seemed. Her grandmother had always said that humans were different from other species. Other races built things the way they had always been built. Humans looked at the same materials and found completely new ways to use them. They took ideas that seemed crazy and made them work. Computer, show me those restricted historical files. Lisa ordered. Access denied. Imperial security clearance required, the computer replied. Lisa looked at the communication panel. Admiral Qian's face appeared on the screen. His blue skin looked pale with worry. Captain Martinez, are you seeing the same readings we are? Qian asked. Yes, Admiral. The computer says the craft has similarities to old human designs. But that should be impossible. That's what I thought too, Qian said. But I have been looking at classified files that most officers never see. Files about Earth before the conquest. Captain, did you know that humans had theoretical designs for space? Travel technology that our scientists still don't understand? Lisa felt her heart beating faster. What kind of designs, Admiral? Propulsion systems that would not need traditional engines. Methods of moving through space that would not create the usual energy signatures. Ways to hide ships from sensors while traveling at incredible speeds. The same things we are seeing from this craft. Dr. Rodriguez looked up from her computer screen. Captain, I have been analyzing the craft's hull composition. Our sensors cannot identify the materials, but the way they behave reminds me of something I read about in ancient human metallurgy texts. What do you mean? Lisa asked. Humans had theories about smart materials that could change shape and properties based on their environment. Materials that could become harder than diamond when needed, or softer than cloth when flexibility was required. The Empire's scientists dismissed these ideas as impossible fantasy. Lisa walked over to the main display screen and stared at the mysterious craft. It was still changing shape slowly, adapting to the space around it. The hull seemed to ripple like water, but it also looked strong enough to survive the impact of a meteor. Dr. Rodriguez, is it possible that humans continued developing these technologies in secret after the conquest? Captain, I don't know. The Empire has always assumed that humans accepted their defeat and gave up on advanced research. But what if they didn't? What if they just became very good at hiding their work? Lieutenant Amy Foster had been very quiet during this conversation. Now she spoke up from her communications station. Captain, I have been thinking about something. My grandmother used to tell me stories about the old days too. She said that humans had a saying, the best way to hide something is to make people think it doesn't exist. Lisa nodded. Amy, try to establish communication with the craft. Use the old human protocols that we tried before. But this time use the most basic human languages. Use the simple words that people spoke on Earth before the conquest. Amy worked at her station for several minutes, adjusting the communication systems. Finally, she looked up with a strange expression on her face. Captain, I am ready to transmit. But I should warn you that using these old human protocols might be considered treason by Imperial Command. We are not supposed to remember the old ways. Lisa looked around the bridge. Every crew member was watching her carefully. She knew that her next decision could change everything. If she was wrong, she might be executed for treason. If she was right, then everything the Empire believed about humans was about to change. Do it, Amy. Send the message. Amy activated the communication system. She spoke in the old human language that her grandmother had taught her in secret. The words felt strange in her mouth after so many years of speaking only Imperial Standard. Unknown craft, this is Captain Lisa Martinez of the Imperial Fleet. We are attempting to establish communication using old Earth protocols if you can. Understand us? Please respond. For long minutes, nothing happened. The Imperial fleet maintained their positions around the mysterious craft. The craft continued its slow, graceful movement through space, apparently ignoring the hundreds of warships surrounding it. Then, suddenly, a voice came through the communication system. It was clear and strong and spoke in perfect human English. Imperial Fleet? This is Commander Steve Parker of the Terran Deep Space Reconnaissance Corps. We have been monitoring your pursuit for the past 72 hours. I must say your persistence is impressive. You almost managed to keep up with us. The bridge of the Sovereign's Edge erupted in shocked whispers and gasps. Commander Ryan Thompson nearly dropped his datapad. Dr. Rodriguez stared at her screen in disbelief. Even Jake Harrison's blue face showed clear signs of amazement. Terran Deep Space Reconnaissance Corps? Lisa repeated. Commander Parker, that organization doesn't exist. Earth has been under Imperial control for 2 centuries. Parker's voice came back through the speakers, and Lisa could hear amusement in his tone. Earth, yes. But humanity never stayed just on Earth, Captain Martinez. We have been quite busy while the Empire was focused on other things. Admiral Chung's voice suddenly cut through the communication channel. Commander Parker, you are in violation of Imperial space. Your presence here is illegal. Surrender immediately or face the full power of the Imperial fleet. There was a long pause before Parker responded. When he spoke again, his voice carried a tone that made every Imperial officer feel very nervous. Admiral Chung, I appreciate your position, but I'm afraid we're not here to surrender. We're here to have a conversation. But if you insist on using force ... double quotes, the mysterious craft suddenly accelerated. It moved so fast that the Imperial sensors could barely track it. In less than 3 seconds, it had flown completely around the entire Imperial fleet. As it passed each ship, their shields flickered and their weapon systems showed temporary malfunctions. Perhaps we should discuss this more diplomatically, Parker's voice continued calmly. The demonstration of speed had left the entire Imperial fleet in stunned silence. Commander Steve Parker's small craft had just proven that it could destroy every ship in the fleet if it wanted to. The fact that it had chosen not to attack made the message very clear. Humanity was not asking for permission to talk. They were offering the Empire a chance to listen. Captain Lisa Martinez felt her hands shaking as she stared at the communication console. Everything she had been taught about humanity's place in the galaxy was wrong. The Empire had spent 2 centuries believing that humans were a conquered primitive species. Now, she was talking to a human commander who controlled technology that made the Empire's best weapons look like toys. Commander Parker, Lisa said carefully, how is this possible? Our records show that Earth has been under Imperial occupation for 200 years. Human space travel was limited to short trips between nearby colonies. Parker's voice came back through the speakers, and Lisa could hear him smiling as he spoke. Captain Martinez, that's exactly what we wanted the Empire to think. While your forces were busy controlling Earth and the inner colonies, humanity was spreading to the outer rim. We've been building a new civilization in places the Empire never bothered to look. Admiral Chung's angry voice cut through the communication. That's impossible. Our long-range sensors would have detected large-scale human expansion. We monitor all space traffic in this sector. Admiral, your sensors are very good at detecting traditional spacecraft using conventional technology, Parker replied. But humans have always been good at finding new ways to solve old problems. We develop propulsion systems that your sensors cannot detect. We built ships from materials that don't show up on your scans. We learned to hide in plain sight. Dr. Elena Rodriguez was working frantically at her science station. Captain, I'm analyzing the energy signatures from Commander Parker's ship. The readings are unlike anything in our databases. It's as if the ship exists in normal space but also somewhere else at the same time, Lisa nodded. Dr. Rodriguez, what you're seeing probably represents 2 centuries of human innovation. Innovation driven by the need to survive and grow without being detected by a superior military force. Commander Ryan Thompson looked up from his engineering console. Captain, if humans have been developing this technology for 200 years, they could have ships and colonies throughout the galaxy. We might not be talking to one scout ship, we might be looking at an entire hidden civilization. The thought sent chills through everyone on the bridge. The Empire had always assumed they knew where every major population center was located. Their power came from controlling resources and trade routes. If humans had been building a secret civilization for 2 centuries, then the balance of power in the galaxy might be very different than anyone had realized. "Commander Parker," Lisa said, "are you alone out here, or are there others?" Parker was quiet for a moment before answering. "Captain, I think that's a conversation we should have face to face. I'm transmitting coordinates for a meeting point in neutral space. I suggest Admiral Chun and yourself come aboard a single diplomatic vessel. No weapons, no tricks, just talking." Admiral Chun's voice was tight with anger. "I don't take orders from humans." "Admiral," Parker replied calmly, "I'm not giving you orders. I'm offering you a choice. You can talk to us as equals, or you can try to continue treating us as subjects. But I should warn you that the second option might not work out the way you expect." As if to prove his point, long-range sensors suddenly detected multiple new contacts approaching from the outer rim of the system. The readings showed dozens of energy signatures similar to Parker's ship. Each one was moving at the same impossible speed that had made tracking the first ship so difficult. "My God," whispered Lieutenant Amy Foster from the communications station. "There are more of them. Many more." The tactical display showed at least 50 new contacts, all approaching the Zephyrian home system. Each one displayed the same advanced technology that had made Parker's ship so hard to track and impossible to catch. "Commander Parker," Lisa said with growing worry, "how many ships do you have?" "Enough, Captain Martinez. Humanity learned a long time ago that survival sometimes requires being prepared for the worst. We've spent 2 centuries building, learning, and growing. We're not the same species that you conquered 200 years ago." Admiral Chun was staring at the tactical display with obvious fear. His huge fleet of 300 ships suddenly seemed very small compared to the unknown number of human vessels that could apparently appear anywhere without warning. "Admiral," Lisa said quietly, "I think we should accept Commander Parker's invitation to talk." Chun looked around his bridge at his crew members. The confidence and arrogance that had marked Imperial officers for generations was gone. For the first time in their history, they were facing a force that they could not intimidate or defeat. "Very well," Chun said finally. "Captain Martinez, you will accompany me to this meeting, but we go with full diplomatic immunity and safe passage." "Guaranteed." "Of course, Admiral," Parker replied. "Humanity has always honored the rules of war and diplomacy, even when others haven't always extended us the same courtesy." 2 hours later, Captain Martinez and Admiral Chun approached the meeting coordinates in a small diplomatic shuttle. The location was in empty space, far from any planets or space stations. It was neutral territory where neither side would have an advantage. Parker's ship was waiting for them. Up close, it was even more impressive than it had appeared on their sensors. The hull seemed to shift and flow like liquid metal, but it also looked stronger than any material they had ever seen. Strange patterns of light moved across the surface in ways that suggested technology far beyond anything the Empire possessed. "Shuttle pilot, take us alongside the human vessel," Admiral Chun ordered. "But be ready to leave immediately if anything goes wrong." As their shuttle approached, a section of Parker's ship simply opened like a flower blooming. There was no visible door or airlock mechanism. The hull material just moved aside to create an opening large enough for their shuttle to enter. Inside, the human ship was even more amazing. The walls curved smoothly without any visible joints or seams. Soft light seemed to come from the walls themselves rather than from separate fixtures. Everything looked organic and alive, as if the ship had grown rather than being built. "Commander." Steve Parker was waiting for them in what appeared to be a meeting room. He was a tall man with gray hair and kind eyes. He looked like someone's grandfather, not like the commander of a vessel that could outrun and outfight the entire Imperial fleet. "Admiral Chun, Captain Martinez, welcome aboard," Parker said with a warm smile. "Please have a seat. We have a lot to discuss. Lisa looked around the room in amazement. The chairs seemed to form themselves from the floor as she approached. The table adjusted its height automatically to be comfortable for both humans and the taller Zephian admiral. "Commander Parker," Admiral Chun said stiffly, "I demand to know the full extent of human military capabilities." "How many ships do you have? Where are your bases? What are your intentions toward the Empire?" Parker smiled and shook his head. "Admiral, those are exactly the wrong questions to be asking. The real question is not what humanity can do to the Empire. The real question is what we can do together." "What do you mean?" Lisa asked. "Captain, for 200 years, the Empire has treated humanity as a conquered people. You've taken our resources, limited our technology, and restricted our freedom. But despite all of that, humans have continued to innovate and grow. We've solved problems that your best scientists thought were impossible. We've developed technologies that could benefit every species in the galaxy." Parker stood up and walked to what appeared to be a window, though Lisa suspected it was actually some kind of advanced display screen. Outside, she could see both the Imperial fleet and the growing number of human ships. "The question is not whether humanity can challenge the Empire," Parker continued. "We've already proven we can. The question is whether we're going to spend our energy fighting each other, or whether we're going to work together to build something better." Commander Steve Parker walked back to the table where Admiral Chun and Captain Lisa Martinez were sitting. The room around them seemed to respond to his movements, with the lighting becoming warmer and more comfortable. Lisa had never seen technology that could read emotions and adjust itself automatically. "Let me show you something," Parker said. He waved his hand, and the wall in front of them became transparent, showing a view of space outside. "Do you see those ships out there?" Lisa looked through the transparent wall. She could see both fleets clearly. The Imperial ships looked powerful and intimidating with their dark hulls and visible weapons. But the human ships looked like they belonged to a completely different age of technology. They moved like living creatures, their hulls shifting and changing as they flew. "I count at least 60 human vessels," Admiral Chun said with worry in his voice. "How many more are there?" Parker smiled sadly. "Admiral, you're still thinking like a conqueror. You want to know our numbers so you can plan how to fight us, but that's not why we're here." "Then why are you here?" Lisa asked. Parker sat down across from them. "Captain Martinez, 200 years ago, your people conquered Earth. You took our governments, our resources, and our freedom. But you made one critical mistake." "What mistake?" Admiral Chun demanded. "You assumed that conquest was the same as victory," Parker replied. "You thought that controlling our planet meant controlling our spirit. You were wrong." Parker touched the table, and suddenly the surface became a display screen showing images from Earth's history. Lisa saw pictures of human cities before the conquest, then images of the same cities under Imperial rule. "After the conquest, most humans accepted their new lives," Parker continued. "They worked in your factories, farmed your crops, and followed your laws, but some humans never stopped dreaming of something better." The images on the table changed to show small groups of humans working in secret. They were building strange devices and studying complex equations. The pictures looked like they were taken in hidden underground workshops. "These people started small," Parker explained. "They met in basements and abandoned buildings. They shared knowledge that the Empire had tried to erase. They asked questions that your scientists thought were already answered." Lisa watched the images with growing fascination. She saw humans working with materials she didn't recognize, building machines that seemed impossible, testing ideas that defied conventional science. "How did you hide all this from Imperial surveillance?" Admiral Chun asked. "The same way humans have always survived," Parker replied. "We adapted. We learned to work in small groups that couldn't be easily detected. We developed communication methods that your sensors couldn't monitor. We became very good at looking ordinary while doing extraordinary things." The images on the table showed the progression of human technology over 2 centuries. Lisa watched as simple workshops became sophisticated laboratories. She saw the first experimental spacecraft that used principles completely different from Imperial technology. The breakthrough came about 50 years after the conquest, Parker continued. A human engineer named Maria Santos figured out how to manipulate space-time in ways that your physics said were impossible. She built the first ship that could travel faster than light without using conventional engines. That's impossible, Admiral Chun said. Our scientists have studied faster-than-light travel for thousands of years. The technology requires massive engines and enormous amounts of energy, Parker nodded. That's true for the way your species thinks about the problem. But humans approach problems differently. Instead of trying to push ships through space, Maria figured out how to convince space to move around the ship. Lisa tried to understand what he was saying. You mean the ship doesn't actually move? Space moves instead? Something like that, Parker said with a smile. The details are complicated, but the result is ships that can travel faster than anything the Empire has ever built, using very little energy and leaving almost no trace for sensors to detect. The images on the table showed human ships leaving Earth in secret. They flew to distant star systems that the Empire had never explored. Within a few decades, humans had established hidden colonies throughout the galaxy. We spread slowly and carefully, Parker explained. We chose star systems that were far from Imperial trade routes. We built our colonies underground or inside asteroids where they couldn't be seen from space. We developed our technology and grew our population while staying completely hidden. Admiral Chun was staring at the images with obvious shock. You're telling me that there is an entire human civilization that we know nothing about? Not just one civilization, Admiral. Dozens of them. Human colonies exist in star systems throughout the galaxy. Some specialize in research and development. Others focus on manufacturing or agriculture. All of them are connected by ships that can travel between star systems in days instead of months. Lisa felt her understanding of the galaxy completely changing. Commander Parker, how many humans are there in these hidden colonies? More than lived on Earth before the conquest, Parker replied. Much more. Humanity has grown from a single-planet species to a galaxy-spanning civilization. And we did it all while your empire thought we were contained and controlled. The implications hit Admiral Chun like a physical blow. If what you're saying is true, then the Empire's entire understanding of galactic demographics is wrong. Our strategic planning is based on incomplete information. Our military deployments might be completely inadequate. Parker nodded seriously. Admiral, the balance of power in this galaxy is very different from what your leaders believe. Humanity is not a small conquered population that you can continue to control. We are a major galactic power that has been choosing to remain hidden. But why reveal yourselves now? Lisa asked. You could have stayed hidden indefinitely. Parker's expression became more serious. Because remaining hidden is no longer possible, and more importantly, it's no longer necessary. Our technology has advanced to the point where we can defend ourselves against any threat. But more than that, we've realized that hiding helps no one. He touched the table again, and the images changed to show problems throughout the galaxy. Lisa saw planets suffering from environmental damage, species struggling with poverty and disease and conflicts between different alien races. Humanity has developed solutions to many of these problems, Parker said. We have medical technology. That could eliminate most diseases. We have environmental restoration techniques that could heal damaged planets. We have energy sources that could power entire civilizations without harming their environments. And you want to share this technology? Admiral Chun asked suspiciously. We want to build a better galaxy, Parker replied. But we can't do it alone, and we can't do it while pretending to be a conquered species. It's time for humanity to take its place as an equal partner in galactic civilization. Lisa understood what he was offering. You're proposing an alliance between humanity and the Empire. Not just an alliance, Captain, a complete restructuring of how this galaxy operates. Instead of conquest and control, we could have cooperation and mutual benefit. Instead of one species dominating others, we could have all species working together. Admiral Chun was quiet for a long time, thinking about what he had heard. Finally, he spoke. Commander Parker, what you're proposing would require the Empire to give up everything we've built our power on. Our leaders will never agree to treat humans as equals. Parker smiled. Admiral, your leaders will agree when they understand that they don't have a choice. The age of Empire domination is over. The question is whether the transition will be peaceful or violent. Are you threatening us? Admiral Chun asked. I'm offering you an opportunity, Parker replied. Humanity could have approached this situation very differently. We could have announced our presence by destroying Imperial fleets and conquering planets. Instead, we chose to come here and talk. We're giving the Empire a chance to evolve instead of forcing it to collapse. Lisa realized that this conversation would change everything. Within months, the entire structure of galactic civilization would be different. The Empire would have to accept humanity as equals or face a war against an enemy that had technology they couldn't match. What happens next? Lisa asked. Parker stood up and walked back to the transparent wall. Outside, both fleets waited in tense formation. Next, Admiral Chun returns to Imperial Command and explains the new reality. Humanity will begin revealing our colonies and our technology to the galaxy. We'll start working together to solve the problems that affect all species. And if the Empire refuses? Admiral Chun asked. Parker turned back to them with the expression that was both kind and absolutely determined. Then humanity will continue building a better galaxy without the Empire's help. But Admiral, I hope it doesn't come to that. Humans have always believed that cooperation produces better results than conquest. The meeting ended with agreements for more detailed negotiations. Within a year, the first human-designed vessels were incorporating Zephyrian engineering principles, while Imperial ships were being retrofitted with human propulsion systems. Captain Lisa Martinez, promoted to Admiral and serving as the primary liaison between humanity and the Empire, often reflected on the lessons learned.